Teachers of Reddit, what is the smartest / most creative way of cheating that you've seen? I was a TAR for anatomy and physiology. The professor would ask for me to sit in on finals to prevent cheating. One kid came in with a vitamin water. No worries. Halfway through the test the professor noticed they kept turning the bottle and squinting. This goes on for another 20 minutes. Professor goes up, grabs the vitamin water bottle and rips off the label. It had a crud sheet written on the back. The students had gone to the effort to make a fake vitamin water bottle label and write notes in the back. The professor was impressed by the creativity and decided to give the student a 0 and not report them to the academic committee. He should have just studied and done that so he could write "suck fat nuts" on the inside, lol. Imagine if the prof notices him squinting at the bottle and angrily snatches it, only to realize it has "you can do it" Greg written on the inside over and over again. We believe in you, Mom and Dad. So, as a teacher, the smartest way I cheat is by giving the kids a notification and telling them they can put whatever cheat sheet stuff on there they want. It tricks them into actually studying for their math tests. Also a pro tip from a math teacher, most students don't know how to study for math, and this is why they struggle. Think of studying math like practicing an instrument. You need to learn a piece by practicing multiple problems from skill set. If you aren't practicing at least 8 to 18 problems at least every day to 2 days, then you're never going to get past the little mistakes and missteps which have probably plagued you. So, not a teacher, but I witnessed probably the biggest cheating related scandal in our high school's history. For context, we had the sweetest old guy as our chemical teacher. He called everyone bud or buddy or ma'am. He always helped. He volunteered to teach driver's ed after school so kids could learn to drive. He always had a twinkle in his eye because he genuinely showed love and kindness to everyone. A side effect of this was that he was very trusting. So one day, before finals, he ran to the bathroom during class while everyone was wrapping up their lab reports. While he was gone, someone ran to his desk, found the finals just sitting there, snapped a pic, and then ran back to their desk. Before he got back, somehow, no one tattled. Probably because 90% of our grade level in that class was on board with it. The pictures got texted around, but a few people were smart enough to Bluetooth into each other, so it couldn't be tracked. Well, after the test, everyone had high scores and apparently someone confessed. This resulted in a huge investigation by the assistant principals, school police officer, and faculty. They traced every text message and busted so many people, all except the ones who transferred via Bluetooth. They had to reissue the test. Man, that was crazy. I felt so bad for the teacher. He was really sad someone had taken advantage of him, and I was too. Such a good dude. Used a text file on one of the original iPods. Teacher was fine with listening to music during tests. Made my life so much easier, lol. You should have made your own math rap album. There was a class that allowed you to bring one sheet of handwritten notes to exams. I knew a guy that created a font of his own handwriting and used to print the entire study guide onto a piece of notebook paper, front and back. He even set the font color to pencil gray and managed to get the margins and spacing exactly right to look like it had been handwritten. Modern problems require modern solutions. I was grading a written assignment that had a 1,000 word count minimum, and one particular paper just felt really short to me despite Word telling me it was roughly 1,100 words long. On a hunch, I hit Ctrl+A, and sure enough after the paper concluded there was a lot of white nonsense text on a white background. That's gotta be the dumbest form of lengthening a paper there is. If you email a document, one click foils the plan, and if you turn in a hard copy, the white text doesn't even count. If you turn in a physical copy, you won't have a strictly enforced word count, probably a page count if anything. And 9/10 students don't email their papers. There will be a turn-in portal somewhere that typically doesn't detect the white text. I had summaries of chemistry and a load of math formulas on my graphic calculator, T83, and I had a backup on a thumb drive so that I could put it back after a mandatory reset. You can archive stuff right before a reset. The resets don't touch anything archived, then just unarchived during the test. They did a full reset though, not a memory or app reset, or whatever it was called. I made a program that mimicked the full reset. My girlfriend works for a dental exam company, which are obviously super high stakes exams. Since the exams are worldwide, they have actually found people from one time zone paying people from another time zone to email questions to them right before the exam starts. There's actually a movie with this same plot, called Bad Genius, where a student takes a test in a different country that is a few hours ahead and texts the answers back to others that have the test in a few hours. I watched this movie. It's inspired by a bunch of different cases of creative cheating in Asia. This happened with the app exams last year. I'm pretty sure there was a subreddit for it, and when College Board found out, they forced the PPL in the different time zone to stay in the class until the other time zone started. Yeah, I took app exams years ago in Hawaii. Questions would be online 3 hours before the exam if you looked. Stretch a rubber band around a textbook, write whatever you want on it, then when you take it off the textbook, it'll just look like scribble until you stretch it to see what's written. Spanish conjugations drove me to do some incredibly unethical things. How would you use those without looking suspicious? You could say it's a fidget thing, but it's risky. Establish a precedent before the exam. Have a rubber band in class every day. The long con. I had class in the AM with a kid who was a tar for my physics class the afternoon before. Weird period system at my old school. He would tell me the answers to app tests he had graded the day before, and I would write them in black ink on the side of the sole of my black boots. I would then sit with my leg bent with my foot on my knee and read the answers during the test. You couldn't see them unless the light hit the ink just right. After the test I would just lick my finger and smudge the answers out. Physics professor posted the answers to the homework online after it was due. Thing was, he was just making the existing pages visible and the URLs followed a simple and predictable format. If you knew the URL you could look at it before it was made public. One of my professors had file names like this, but actually the next numbered one was a Word document that just said nice try in it. During a keyboard harmony lab exam, a room with 28 keyboards, one devious student had previously recorded another student's perfect performance of the exam piece on MIDI in outthrough. The cheater played the recorded piece on MIDI but used all the right hand motions on his keyboard at the back of the room to try to fool me that he was actually playing it in real time. Unfortunately for him, the student he recorded happened to be my piano student, and I recognized the distinctive playing immediately. I didn't embarrass him during class by calling him out on it, but dealt with the problem privately, a lesson he told me later that would stay with him for the remainder of his life. Printing a fake water bottle label with test information on it. Back in mid-2000, schools here in Australia started to have strict guidelines on what could be brought into exams. Water was allowed, but must be kept in an unlabeled bottle. If you bought water, you have to rip off the label. Same in New Zealand. During a spelling test, Miss, how do you spell piano? The spelling word was piano. Teacher went on autopilot and started spelling the word. That's actually hilarious. Good for that kid too. Shoot your shot. I'm a high school teacher, but this story is about my own high school math teacher playing us and cheating. It was an honors algebra/geometry class, and it was well known that Mr. D reused the same questions every year, just changed the numbers. He made a big deal about making sure we all gave our exam papers back to him after we had looked at our scores and gone over everything together to prevent cheating for the next year. Well, of course, some of my classmates got their hands on a complete set of tests from the previous year. Soon, everyone had a set. Before each exam, we would sit together and make sure we knew how to solve every problem on that test so we could do it on the real exam with different numbers. Years later, when I became a teacher myself, I saw Mr. D at a funeral. I confessed to him that this is what we used to do. He smirked and said, "Who do you think leaked the test packet to get you to study?" Mr. D had figured out that kids won't study if the teacher suggests it, but if they think they are getting away with something, they totally will, so he managed to get a test packet out and circulating as contraband. Blew my mind. This is amazing. As soon as I read, we would sit together and make sure we knew how to solve every problem. I was like, wait, that sounds like a study group.